What's going on, everybody? It's Warren. Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk all things Marvel and everything relating to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And today we have some news about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 coming straight from James Gunn himself in an interview with Deadline. And some people aren't going to like what he has to say. As you probably read from my title, James Gunn is saying that this is the last time that we'll see this group of Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's also saying that this is the end for him and many of the characters. So essentially, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is the last Guardians of the Galaxy film that we'll get, at least in a traditional matter. So it really makes you wonder about deaths. Based off what some actors have said, like Dave Bautista, who plays Drax, said that this is his last film as a Guardian of the Galaxy. Based off of things like this, it does lead us to believe that there are going to be probably many deaths in Guardians of the Galaxy's final conclusion. And thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. More on them in a bit. Now, don't get too upset yet, because I do believe there is hope, and I do believe there's going to be somewhat of a spin-off that is going to keep the Guardians going, even if it's not a traditional Guardians of the Galaxy. But let's break down what James Gunn had to say in this interview. Let's talk about who we think will die, and then how a new Guardians franchise could come about and continue on in the MCU. Because I would like to think that at least one of them is going to live and possibly continue on. But check this out, the interview is with Deadline, and the title even reads, James Gunn on End of Guardians of the Galaxy franchise and Peacemaker's Butterfly Secret Hero Nation podcast. So right in the title it says End of the Guardians franchise, and this is the first line of this article. It's James Gunn being quoted saying, "This is the end for us, the last time people will see this team of Guardians." And Deadline says that this is what they told him about the franchise's conclusion with the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And here's something that James Gunn says that adds even more to the speculation that many characters will die. He says, "It's big. It's so big and dark, and different from what people might be expecting it to be." Now, we know that the set for Guardians 3 was massive. We know that it was a huge set, so we know it's going to be a pretty crazy and big film, but James Gunn is sitting here saying it's going to be dark. And usually when the word dark is being used to describe a movie, we think that, yeah, there's going to be deaths. But he continues on and talks about the wrap-up of the story that we've been on for the past two Guardians films. He says, "I just want to be true to the characters, the story, and give people the wrap-up that they deserve for the story. That's always a little bit scary. I'm doing my best." And he ends with, "I'm aware that the third film in most trilogies sucks. Not always." And that's true. Typically, by the time you get to the end of a trilogy, the last one isn't that good. However, we just got Spider-Man No Way Home, which was the last in a trilogy and by far the best. And Guardians seems to be going all out, and Marvel Studios seems to be getting behind these directors that want to go all out, so I don't have any doubt that Guardians 3 is going to be fantastic. It just seems like it's going to be pretty sad, because I'm betting that Racoon is going to die, I bet you that Drax is going to die, and I'm thinking that Nebula is going to die as well. Karen Gillan said that when she read the script entirely for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, she cried a lot. And I think the person that everyone would cry over the most dying would be Racoon. We've kind of already seen Groot die, and I don't really think that Groot can really die as long as there's just one little twig left of him. So since we know that fact, and since we've kind of already seen him die before, I don't think it'll be that sad, especially since he is growing up again. He's not little baby Groot like before, so it's not going to be that hard to watch. But I do believe that there are very specific reasons why certain characters will die, and I think a lot of it has to do with the story and the villain, who I believe to be the High Evolutionary. He fits perfectly with the story, and James Gunn has really hinted at him being the villain, saying that it's going to be a very complex and powerful character, and one that not a lot of people know about. And I'll dive into detail, but first, thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Manscaped is the global brand for men's grooming and hygiene products. They have the best tools and liquid formulas for all of your odor zones, and I'm talking all of them, guys. Manscaped hooked me up with a bunch of stuff from their all-in-one Performance 4.0 package. Let's check it out. So right away when you open this, you can see that it's got everything that a man would need for manscaping, including things you wouldn't think you would need but will actually love. The first thing to note is the Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer, the 4th generation electric waterproof trimmer with advanced skin-safe technology which reduces nicks and cuts on the most sensitive regions of the body. It's got an LED light on it so you can see. As I mentioned, it's waterproof, and it has LED lights to show you how much battery you have left, and it has a wireless charging dock. It also comes with a crop preserver that you put on after the shower and the crop reviver that you put on whenever you need it. And Manscaped really does have you covered from head to toe. This also comes with their Weed Whacker, which is a nose and ear hair trimmer. And for a limited time, you can get all this plus 2 free gifts, the Shed Travel Bag and the Manscaped Anti-Chafing Boxer Briefs. Go to manscaped.com today and get 20% off plus free international shipping plus 2 free gifts when you use promo code COSMIC at checkout. So in regards to the High Evolutionary being the villain of Guardians 3, I think it makes a ton of sense, and I also think that they're going to connect that with Rocket Raccoon. Because in the comics, the High Evolutionary starts by experimenting with animals, and as we learned from Guardians 1, Rocket Raccoon was an experiment. And he actually is exactly what the High Evolutionary would do to dogs. He would essentially evolve them to have pretty much chimpanzee level intelligence. Now obviously Rocket Raccoon has more intelligence than that, but you get what I'm saying. It just makes perfect sense that the High Evolutionary would have created Rocket when he started experimenting. I also think the High Evolutionary is behind the Sovereign and Aisha, because they believe themselves to be perfect beings who continue to try to evolve, which is why they made Adam. And in the comics, the High Evolutionary sort of adopts Adam, and he gives him the Soul Gem, so it all sort of makes sense here because the Sovereign is going to be who is coming for the Guardians. And you can bet that Rocket's going to want some type of revenge against the High Evolutionary, and I think he might die to get that revenge and to defeat the High Evolutionary. Now, this is the one death that I think everybody really doesn't want to see, but sadly, I think it's the one that we are going to be getting. Now, as far as Nebula is concerned, I think she might sacrifice herself for the only true family that she has ever had, the Guardians. Obviously, Thanos wasn't much of a father to her, but she had Gamora and eventually made amends with her. Now, sadly, she's gone, but she still has her Guardians family. And she's very stubborn, which is why I think that she might make the ultimate sacrifice to save other members of the Guardians in Volume 3. Now, 2 characters are a little up in the air on whether or not they're going to die, and those characters are Drax and Mantis. Now, I know I said I believe Drax is going to die, but I believe they might throw a curveball at us. For Drax, he's either going to die because he's going to seek out the final revenge for his family, or there could be some sort of a twist where his wife and daughter are actually alive. How? Not sure. We need to get a little bit more information about that story, but this could be a pleasant twist that they throw at us. If they throw this at us, there is still the possibility that Drax could die to save his family, or there's the possibility that he could get his happily ever after. Dave Bautista did say it's his last film, but James Gunn just said that this is the end of the franchise, so it's kind of everybody's last film. I probably am leaning more towards he'll die, but maybe he'll get his happy ending. And Mantis, I'm really unsure about because there isn't necessarily a big reason for her to die, besides helping her family and protecting the Guardians, which could very well happen. But I just kind of feel like she's one of the characters that will just live. Now, Groot, like I said, can kind of go either way because he almost can't die. Yes, he can fully die, but I don't think he will in the MCU, so it's kind of irrelevant because he could just sacrifice himself like he did in the first one and come back. But it really comes down to Peter and Gamora. Now, Gamora isn't the same Gamora that we've known all this time. But I don't think she's going to die because Adam Warlock's coming in this movie, and they have a big relationship in the comics. And I don't think Adam Warlock is just showing up for one movie. I think he's here for a long time in the MCU, so I think they might explore that, and Gamora might be sticking around. Now, as far as Starlord's concerned, he could die. It is a possibility. I don't think it'll happen, but it is a possibility. What I would like to see happen is him take on a new team, and perhaps call it something like the Guardians of the Universe. This could be a combination of some old heroes that we've seen before in the MCU, some Ravengers, and some new people. If Adam Warlock and Gamora get together, I don't think he's going to want to follow them around, so I think this will be an entirely new team. Because people love the Guardians of the Galaxy, I don't think the franchise is just going to go away. I think they're going to spin it off in some way. At least I really hope so, because the Guardians franchise is one of the best franchise in the MCU, and I think a lot of people would agree on that. But let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments down below. Who do you think is going to die in this final Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 franchise film? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Guardians 3 and MCU news. And for live updates, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.